Data Labs. Today we are going to continue our series. Yes. So today from AWS Glue we have to cover like couple of things. So one important use case that we are going to cover is, so let's say like you have two different data sources. Let's say like one CSV file and another CSV file which is existing in a bucket, in a same bucket or even in different buckets. So how do we transform those two CSVs using custom SQL query from Glue Visual ETL itself, and then we are going to transform the data, and then we are going to output the data in S3 bucket. So that's what we are going to do today, right? So now for that we are just going to click Visual ETL. So in the Glue service in AWS Management Console, try to click that, and from that you have to select Amazon S3 as your data source. So now again, as we know, we will be having two different data sources. So let's say you will be again trying to click one more S3 here. So it has come 3. So let's try to delete 1. So now what we are going to do, we have to select this S3 now. Before moving on to that, let me have the name of the job DT merge, data transformation merge, and go to the job details. And of course we want to select the respective IAM role that we are supposed to access it. And then comes importantly, we have to only use two number of workers just to make sure that it is not getting overpriced, as we are doing it in everything as a free tier edition. And once these both are done, just try to click save option and then go back here and then click on this Amazon S3, and then we have to try to load the data which is present in the buckets. So before that, let me show you the bucket and as well as the data which is present in there. So obviously we should have two different data sources. So I'm going to select these two as data sources. Let me query the data first, in what format it is actually. So ID, first name, last name, age. Let me also open a new window and let me try to open the second data source as well. So I'm going to open this. So both ensuring that have the same number of columns, same key as well. So if you see here, ID, first name, last name, age, and if you see here, ID, first name, last name, age. So now what I'm going to do, respectively in the same bucket, I'm going to select the two different sources. So first data source, I'm just selecting this, and then it is trying to ask what type of format it is, and we have given CSV. And even parallelly you can see the data which is coming in the data preview section at the bottom of this. And if you click on output, you can confirm that what are all the columns that you have been sourced in the source file. So if you can able to see here, there are a lot of things coming up which is nothing but the original data which is present in the CSV file. So now then comes the second one. So now what I have to go to the same bucket, test data warehouse, selecting the second file, choosing it, data format, it must be CSV. That's it. And again it starts the session on its own and giving us all the metadata as well as the data as well. Then comes we have to transform it. So what we should be doing it, we should be giving a plus, adding a node, and then we need to have a SQL query for this. So now this SQL query, as you know, it is a transform layer, and we have to get two different data sources into this one single transform logic. So what we should be doing is, okay, let me have the name as merge data set. All right. Now I have to select one more data source here. So now obviously what it has given is, it has taken two different parent nodes and then it has been using the transform SQL layer here. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply give the alias name for first data source and of course for the second as well. So let me give as data source 1, data source 2 for the second data source. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply build a SQL logic just to join two different data sets, which is now we have sourced in here in this job. So I'm just going to simply join it, data source 2 on. So we all know that ID is the primary key, that which is going to be the key column here. So data source to ID. So now if you go back here, you can able to alternatively see the data which is coming over here. Let me minimize it, save this, of course, go here, let me go back here. So now if you can able to see here, we are just build a SQL logic just to join two different data sources, data source 1, data source 2, on column called ID. So now if you go back here, I'm just simply able to get all the resultant records, which has just simply, combined two different tables, data source 1 and 2 with ID column. So now simply I'm just going to use left join. So what it needs to do, it needs to print all the records from the left table, data source 1, and then of course it needs to print the table, the non-matching rows from the right table as well. So if you can see here, it has even give the null records as well. Alright, so it has printed everything in here. So let me try to put differently, right join. So of course, so all the records matching from the right table and then the non-matching records from the left table, it has been printed. So if you see here, there is a difference. There is no null records which is being printed here, as we seen in the left join condition. Alright, so once this is done, what we are going to do? So if you go here, and then we are going to just simply load back all these resultant data, transformed data, to a CSV file. So how are we going to do? Simply click this plus target. I'm just going to simply select S3. Close this, and then what we are going to do, simply use this merge dataset, which is the transformed logic here, and then I'm going to select the CSV format, and it will be asking a compression type. At the moment, let's give like none, and target location, let's try to give glue fresh bucket. I will select this. Okay, so we have given this, and then there are three different options which is prompted here. So whether we need to update the glue data catalog tables or not, or simply, you can even create a table in the data catalog and further update the schema. So these option 2 and 3 will be very much useful whenever there is a change in the schema happening in the table level. Let's say data source 1, before moving into merge data set, right, doing a transform, we can even change the column name or the data type as well. In such cases, what we need to do, we can either select option 2 or 3 accordingly, so that like the table which is present in Glue data catalog will get easily refreshed. The moment we update the data catalog table, you can even query the data in Athena query editor as well once the job has been completed. So at the moment, I'm not going to update anything regarding column name change or data type change. So simply I'm just putting this option, do not update the data catalog. So simply I'm not using any partition key, that's fine. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply run this job. So I've saved all the strings. So if you can just simply make sure that moving into the center graph, two different data source as data source, merging the data set as transform layer, and then finally we are putting into the target layer with S3 as a CSV file with no compression. So I'm just simply going to run this job. So I can able to go here, check the details from the run. Simply if you can just track below, you can see the data over here. The job will get processed. So remember that I'm using only 2 DPUs, which is nothing but data processing units, comparing to 10 DPUs, because obviously when you, the performance will be good when you try to utilize more number of workers. But again, since it's a free tier option, make sure that you are using less number of workers. In real time cases, in project wise, we may be requested to use more number of CPUs and DPUs. Of course, that's not coming as part of free tier edition. The project will be paying for that. So since it's free tier, make use of it efficiently. Alright, so now if you can able to see this log, the job has been completed successfully. So in order to validate, what we should do, go to the S3 bucket. I remember that it is glue fresh bucket. So let's try to go inside that. Yes. So you can able to see all the part files have been generated successfully. So now if you can open all these part files, these are nothing but the transformed data from the SQL which we have built in the Glue transform layer. Now if you can just simply run the SQL query, you can able to get all those records successfully. Alright, so that's it guys. For today's video, we have covered all these things with having the two different CSV files merging into a single data set. I will be covering some more additional use cases from AWS Glue in my videos next to next shortly. Thank you.